none of the things are, outside of the realms for us to resolve because we created them in the first.
Bingo, bingo. That's what we want to hear right there. That is what we wanted to hear. Say that one more time, Ash.
Yeah, and speaking to that whole feeling of things being a little bit different or not what people were expecting or seeing from previous things that we've put out even before the game released, we have a lot of talk, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I'm not talking about this, but people are talking about previous things that we've put out.
Yes.
In terms of trailers,
yes,
like even the way the things look, even the WBC arena, for example, that's one that people talk about.
They talking about you, Tio. Hey, they talking about you, Tio. That's straight for you.
To that community.
Hey, you might as well just say from Tio. That's straight Tio.
Talk about it. Let's go through the entire list. What do you
WBC, man?
Things are
fighting, man.
Are they the same? Like, what's going on there?
I thought this is where I'm supposed to leave the room. No.
This is where the rest of us are looking to you on the call, because some of these, like for example, there's a lot of references to our July 2021
update,
dev update, which is like quite literally the very first week that I started here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like
one of the best.
I know about everything that's
one of the best the game's ever looked.
But I didn't expect necessarily that we'd be talking about this one video that people love so much 2 years later.
We loved it. It was great.
I wish I could take credit also for making that list. I didn't make that list. The Discord squad, Jay Soba, and some of the other folks on there made that list, and then I added a few other things to it.
Jay Soba.
Oh, you added to it. You added to it, Will.
Well, I added a couple other things.
Soba the goat.
Just stuff I'm wondering about.
Oh, okay. Nice.
The original private investigator, Jay Soba.
On the list, but that people have asked about that. I'm like, this probably goes in there too. So we'll jump right into it. I mean, there's some question about just the visuals of the game. And I know there's a number of things that can affect people's perception of what the game looks like and what the visuals are. And some of the frame of reference is like either that video that I just referenced, the July 2021, or I think the March one, the trailer that had like Adelaide and Eddie Hall in it. And, we do get comments from people saying like, hey, I feel like the game looked better than like what's going on with that. Is it a performance? Is it a changes that we've made in the game that are making people feel that way? What's going on there?
So, in terms of visuals, I genuinely think that, we've made some of the changes which I think impact how the game looks, right? Based on previous trailers and development videos we've put out. I think one of the crucial factors is our camera. The camera that was used in pretty much all of our previous dev videos was a lot closer than the camera that's currently used in the game right now. So at the moment, the camera that's used is quite far out. So you don't really get to see the same amount of detail like the previous videos showed, right? Okay. Where you really saw some up close action.
So we're saying that
you can see everything.
The camera angle that makes the game look like that. So will it be an option to get the camera angle that made it look that good?
Probably feel a little bit better when the action's close up. And it's kind of like if you're at a fight, right? If you're at 50 rows back compared to 10 rows back, the action.
I can see what he's saying.
Feel and look a little.
Will
bit
that
different.
Be an option?
So whilst that's not the whole reason why the game does look different, it is certainly a big part of that. But at the same time, we ourselves as developers in the studio are looking at these videos and thinking, yeah, actually, the action does look better in those earlier videos. So how do we make those changes to get the camera, for example, back to how it was? But then the balance was, we were during the play tests, right? During that period, people were struggling with how much the camera was moving, right? Because our game is so fluid and fast as far as the fighter movement.
They're struggling with that now.
You're able to pretty much dance around the ring pretty quickly. And with the camera system, we've just got to be really mindful
Well, you can move
not making
camera spins now.
making one part of the game better, not making another part worse. So
We'll come back. We'll come back to that.
pretty high on our priority list, because I myself feel the same, right?
Okay, well, see, I gotta pause now. So this is super important, right? They've acknowledged that the game looked better then in those. He said he feels the same way. So that is, regardless of how like minuscule the changes to get back to where we were as far as graphical fidelity goes, as far as this goes, that is a huge WA. I know Tio's gonna love that. Jay Soba's gonna love that. Yeah, I know y'all gonna love it, man. I love it too. Just hearing them say that is like a sigh of relief. I think a lot of us felt, I speak for the community in this place, I think a lot of us felt like they thought like it's not as bad as we think it is. But to hear them say, like, to hear them actually acknowledge, like, he didn't have to say that it looked better then. He could have just said, like, maybe it's a bit different than what it was before, but we still think it's in a good place. He didn't say that. He said it looked better than. He agrees. That's a major dub, in my opinion. Major dub.
Other stuff that we're looking there. I mean, the camera's obviously a big one. I think sometimes with arenas, people.
Before I let them go on, that basically means we don't know if we'll get exactly back to how it looked in those gameplays, the previous gameplays, but they want to improve upon the graphics that we have now currently, and it seems like the camera is a part of that. So all I hear is that they want to improve there, which is a W to me. That's a dub.
We'll think about different things like the fog volumes or the lighting. I mean, Edward mentioned WBC specifically. Like
Mr. Lighting.
Is there work on arenas that we could be doing as well?
Absolutely. So as far as arenas go, and this is
already a dub to me so far. We got a lot more time to go, but this is a dub so far.
Pass on all the venues. As far as the lighting goes, and yeah, I mean the volumetrics and the fog, it's one of those things where some people prefer it and some people don't.
That's true. On that front, that's true.
Lighting and the visual kind of fidelity of our venues that will have an additional pass during early access, because I mean, look, I recorded most of that video back in 22. So I can clearly see the differences. But none of the things are outside of the realms for us to resolve, because we created them in the first.
Bingo! That's what we want to hear right there. That is what we wanted to hear. Say that one more time, Ash.
Place outside, but none of the things are outside of the realms for us to resolve, because
ding. That's all we wanted to hear right there. Hey, we wanted to hear that. So we're getting a victory in the graphic department. We got a couple more stages in this roundtable to go where we might hear some stuff we don't want to hear, but at least we heard something that we do want to hear with that. That's a dub.
We created them in the first place.
Well, what about the referee in the ring? Because that's what.
Now, before they even get into this, me personally, I could care less if the ref is in the ring or not. I know some people want that for the immersion. I totally get it. That's why I'm not against going for what the community wants, because I totally get it. Just because I care for something doesn't mean it's not important to other people. But me personally, I could care less about the referee. But even when people mention in the comments or something like that, I still will advocate for that for others, because I know that's important to other people. So I'd be interested to hear what they say about this.
One of the biggest things that people always say, hey, you had a referee in the ring in all of those trailers, because that's one of the things that we've seen from those trailers too. What's going on with?
Well, we know that those were cut because there was bugs with the referee, so they had to cut it where he wasn't glitched out or nothing. Had to get him in good scenes where he looked good, played his part.
No, absolutely. So the referee will definitely feature in Undisputed. It's just a system where, again, because we've made the fighters so fluid. The challenge.
Yeah, because they move so fast.
It's been a challenge actually since we implemented the movement system, where the referee's just not as fast as the fighters, right? Kenny Bailey is moving as quickly as he can around the ring, making sure is keeping up with the fighters moving around.
Could slow down the game speed because they do move pretty fast.
Systems whereby you could corner a referee, and then it's like, okay, where did the referee go?
Well, on the game speed a little bit. Question mark.
It's been a complex process for our programmers, and obviously, we don't want to release an update where the referee still feels like there's issues. Obviously, we know early access is a period where
I'm cooking in here too. It's so hot. It's so
what I
hot in
don't
here right
wanna do
now. I'm
is,
cooking.
drop content and updates where we know there's
Don't
problems.
ask me why I got a hoodie on with a
And then expect
do-rag if it's
users
hot.
to kind of live
Don't
with
ask
them,
those type of
right?
questions.
So we want
We're
to
here
make
for
sure
you to
everything
ask,
when
for them to
they
answer
have
your
what
questions, not for me to answer yours.
and how the referee operates in the ring. But look, we've created a whole new AI algorithm for the referee now, and we're pretty happy with it.
Speaking of AI, I know I keep pausing, but I feel like I'm gonna have to break up this video regardless. I'm gonna keep pausing. Speaking of AI, shoutouts to the guy Little Mac. Little Mac, if you did the AI for the ref too, Little Mac, I know you do it for the fighters for AI overall, but you're doing great work with the AI. Top hats off to you. Hats off to you. Doing great work with the AI. It's made great improvements since early access dropped. It's doing great. And shout out to Lil Mac for being active in the AI feedback channel as well. It's cool to see devs get like their thoughts and stuff like that and stuff that they're working on. And Lil Mac's definitely a go for that. So shout out to Lil Mac.
Initial results that we've seen so far. So yeah, look, the referee will be coming. Otherwise, Kenny Bayless is going to probably be having a few words with me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about slipping. That was one of the things.
Oh, we getting into the good stuff today. And we getting the good stuff today. Okay.
And we get a lot of questions about slipping or saying, hey, I felt like it may have been easier to slip earlier, like during the beta. And then I think the logical leap for a lot of people is, well, targeting must just be too high if I can't slip like I could before, or if I couldn't slip beautifully like Lyndon Arthur was doing in that video. How are we feeling about it, and why is that not just a simple thing for us to say, oh yeah, make it like the video?
So slipping is something that this topic is something that I've thought about quite a bit, and we will be making a couple of minor adjustments to the way slips operate. But overall, the slip mechanic obviously is entirely different to the weave that we've got in the game. Now, me personally, I think the way that slips have been designed in the game, they're almost something that you're going to anticipate, right? So
right. I agree with that.
Unrealistic, I feel anyway, for you to like wait for an opponent to jab, and then you see that jab, and then you try to slip that jab after they've thrown that jab. It's in my view, you're not going to be able to
react that
slip
fast.
that jab. I don't. I think you'd need to have super fast.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that. You can't react to that
for me,
fast.
the slipping mechanic in the game is something that you're supposed to anticipate, as far as if somebody's throwing left hooks or right straights, and you're coming forward. It's always something where you're anticipating. So when I'm fighting, for example, I'm slipping without a punch, or without the opponent even throwing a punch, right? Because
that makes sense. I mean, you can't,
thinking
you will not be able to react, especially online. You're not reacting to that fast.
Throw a punch.
You can't. Not with a
for me, it's more about anticipating the punch coming for you to slip. But having said that, obviously there's a balance between how accurate the opponent's punches are, right? Because on the other hand, it's unrealistic for a punch to change direction.
Exactly.
To try and follow.
That's the thing.
Follow a slip. So that's an element we'll be looking at, as far as how accurate those punches are when somebody is slipping.
That's the thing right there, right? The first part he mentioned was totally correct. When you're slipping, especially when I'm slipping, it is anticipation. It is, I'm walking in. If I'm playing, like, I play a lot of Joe Frazier, so I fight a lot of Ali's, a lot of Furies. If I walk in, I'm anticipating them throwing that jab or that straight. So I'm walking in, and when I think I'm in punch range, before they even throw the punch, I'm trying to pull back. I'm slip back so I can make them miss with the jab or the straight. And like what he's saying basically is, I think he probably pretty much nailed it on both parts, honestly. You're not gonna see, like, I can't walk into Ali and then see, okay, Ali's about to throw a punch, and like watch for the punch animation to come out, then I see the jab coming, then pull back. That's unrealistic. You're not gonna be able to react to that. The punch comes out way too fast. You cannot react to that. But what he also said was the change of direction on people's punches because of accuracy. Where if I see Ali is about to throw a punch, 'cause a lot of times what will happen to me, I'll anticipate a punch, I'll slip before they throw the punch, and then they'll throw the punch after I slip, and it will just auto track to my head anyways. Right? So Ali is a good example. Actually, yeah, Ali is a good example because of his slap hook. I'll see the slap. I'll anticipate the slap hook's going to come. So I'll intentionally slip first. I'll slip, and then while I'm down, slipped, they throw the punch right after I slip. It just tracks me straight down on top of my head anyways. That's the type of thing that, makes slipping kind of useless. That's the type of targeting, the tracking system that we're talking about. That's kind of what he mentions, the accuracy on the punches after you slip, which is basically the targeting, the tracking. But that's good to hear that they're looking to make changes to that too. This video so far is a W. We got a long way to go, but so far it's a dub.
In terms of the video, right? I mean, I think people really like the way that it looked, right? But if I'm not mistaken, I think punch targeting has always been a part of our plan for the game and a fundamental part of how it works. But punch targeting wasn't fully implemented, right, when we shot that video. Is that correct?
So punch targeting in that particular video, it wasn't at a level that it is like in the game right now.
We definitely know that.
I mentioned.
Hey, we know it's not at that level.
Tweak.
Can you talk about why punch targeting is important? Because sometimes what people
we know it wasn't at that level. There was no auto tracking then.
I suspect you can tell us why that's not the case, right? But like it's a fundamental part of how punching in the game works, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we all want, fighters to feel individual and the stats to matter in the game, right? So if punch targeting wasn't a thing, then why would accuracy matter, right? So there's fighters in the game who have a higher accuracy stat because they're known to be real accurate punches, in boxing, and
exactly.
So we just have to balance that between making sure that accuracy doesn't negate slipping, for example, right? So maybe now it feels like it's a little bit too overpowered when it does come to slipping. So
it's definitely overpowered. Let me help you out. It's definitely overpowered.
To that, but targeting is important, right? It's like you don't want to weave to one side and somebody throw a jab or a straight, and for that punch to always miss because there's no targeting because that person's just like weaved to one side. You can see the person's weaving to the left, so you're gonna punch that person as they're moving to the left, right? So it's just that balance that we have to make, because if
that is a thing too, though. That's definitely a thing. It shouldn't always miss just because you move to one side or the other. That's unrealistic as well.
Where we have it now, like we got to move a little bit closer to the middle, just like you said. You do want it to be where there's reads and anticipation that's creating your ability to move out of these punches or out of the way of these punches. But you don't also want it to be, like you said, where somebody's just leaning and just holding a lean back and exploiting that. So there's that balance. We do want to get closer to the middle.
Exploit leaning back. Those people who just like, hey, I'm gonna destroy you. Hey, I'm the best in the world. Who wants to smoke? And then you play them. Hey, get that out of here, man. We don't want that.
There's more room for you to miss if the person weaves with the correct anticipation. But I definitely see where you're coming from. You don't want it to be just like the Wild West, basically.
I've been saying from day one, the first time I played Undisputed, they definitely need to implement what Fanatico is saying right now, where it needs to be balanced. It should be like what he just mentioned right there, where like if you weave to the correct side and anticipate them going the opposite side, so you weave away from the punch, you should have a good window to counter there. But conversely to that, if you make the wrong read and you lean straight into a shot, there should be some type of penalty for that as well. If someone ducks down and straight into an uppercut, someone leans left or right into a punch, you want some type of penalty there as well. Which brings up the V word. I know it's probably gonna come up in this video, but I'm gonna let it slide until they say it.
Where you're just punching and missing because somebody just pressed one button and stayed there. But one other thing that they talked about too, when it came to the videos that we've seen in the past and during the 2021 movement, is the UI changes. They said the UI changes.
Oh, they even talking about the UI? Hey, yo, okay, we getting all the answers.
Look better than the UI changes now. Do you?
No, I feel like we're not gonna like the answer to this. Well, I don't really care too much about it, but
I mean, it's just like a personal preference thing. I mean, obviously,
I figured,
and that kind of answers the question about what we're looking for in terms of vision and the style of the game. Obviously, there's a clear difference between the sort of clean look that we have now versus the grungier look, and that's just a It's just a direction thing, right, Ash?
Art direction, yeah.
Yeah, I think we made a conscious decision to change the look and feel of the game, and as part of the upgrades that have taken place with our game, right from the very beginning, we've gone through a number of iterations with regards to how the main menus look.
I did kind of like the other one better, though. I'm not gonna cap. I did like the other one better. It doesn't bother me one way or another too much.
Start off, with
but I like the other one
pretty
better.
grungy looking feel to the game. But as the game developed
it's a little bland now.
And even changing the name from ESBC to Undisputed, right? I think just as part of that
ESBC was mentioned.
We upgraded everything along the way, and I think UI is just one of those subjective kind of feels where it's a direction that we wanted to take so that it fits closer to the overall style of the game. Because whilst we upgraded the menus and everything else, the UI in game all of a sudden looked a little bit dated. So we decided to change that up.
I think it looks more. It kind of looks more dated.
Short
It kind of looks a little bit more dated now, if you ask me, because it looks a little bit more bland. Maybe if they added more to it, I would like it a little bit more. I like the other one a little bit better, to be honest. Or at least the screens, like you'll see posted in the Discord, I kind of like those a little bit more because this one feels like it's a little bit more bland to me, in my personal opinion. I'm no art head, so that's just my personal opinion.
Subjective, relative to all the other things on the list, this is probably one that we feel good about. That's not.
So an L for the arters, for the art people. L for them.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Sorry, Tia.
Stand by this.
Pitch for you, my boy.
I mean, I like the new ones, but hey, listen. That's
I mean, I like the other ones a little bit better, but it doesn't really matter too much to me.
There was a picture I remember not too long ago. There was a picture where somebody's eye was almost completely split open, and people, I guess, they saw that picture. They're reminiscing on that, and they want to know: are we going to get the damage system to that point? Is there something?
I doubt we'll get it that graphic. I think it'll be a little bit better than what we have now.
So,
but I don't think it'll get that graphic.
Cuts. Why does it feel different for people now than it did when they saw it back then?
So I completely get that, actually, and I agree. One of the tricky things with having the number of licenses that we've got in the game, after that trailer had gone out, we did have a couple of conversations with a couple of the bodies, and it was a case of just again balancing that fine line between, hey, are we glorifying a large amount of violence here, compared to this is a sport, and we don't want blood spurting out everywhere all over somebody's face. But having said that, I think right now it's been toned down a little bit too much, and actually damage, swelling, cuts,
everything is toned down,
and blood is actually on our list of things to work on, right? So
have you stop? I didn't think we were gonna get this much good stuff.
The system with swelling and cuts, to bring it up a few levels. So I think again we've probably played it a little bit too safe in that.
And we love to
space.
hear it.
So,
we just love to hear
as far as that whole aspect.
We love to hear it. The honesty. See, this is why no matter how bad the game's gotten, in my opinion, just as far as how hard it is to continue to play it, I kept saying I need to hear. This is why I was been saying in the Discord when people ask me stuff like that, this would be one of the most important roundtables as far as the vision of the game will go, because I felt like this is the most negative in a while the community's been as a whole. And I know it's early access game, so a lot of stuff that they know is planned, we don't know. So we see multiple updates, we think we might be cooked. You know what I mean? So that's why I said it's going to be important, especially when Rax basically said, what things did we see before that we need answers on for things now? You know what I'm talking about? That list that Jay Soba got, once he said they're going to reply to that in a roundtable, that's how I knew it would be a really good roundtable, because a lot of the stuff that we've seen previously, they haven't touched on too much, because for them probably it's still planned to be worked on and iterated on later on. But for us, we don't have those internal discussions like they do on the internal dev team. So we don't know. And then when we see multiple updates, we're like, okay, maybe it's just how it's going to be from now on. We might just be cooked. So far I'm hearing a lot of good stuff, just as far as their mindset and stuff like that. And a lot of it relates to what we want in the game as well. So that's good to hear.
To see that being ramped up.
Okay. What about Frazier, because Joe Frazier had a really dynamic left hook,
Talk
or
to
really
me.
like polarizing left hook.
Talk to me. That's me.
And it was the
That's
leaping
me.
gazelle, the gazelle.
The gazelle hook.
What happened to that? Why is that no longer in the game, but it was in our previous trailer videos?
I was afraid I scared Ash about this one because I kept talking about like the way that it was mapped on there, which was like just any forward hook, right? And so I was concerned, like, oh, you could accidentally, just unintentionally do this hook. And then I had Coach's Corner over here at one point, and we were playing.
Coach?
He was using Ollie, and I was using
Coach.
Frazier, and I was
Coach
like,
name drop?
actually not that bad. I didn't find myself unintentionally hooking, and so I thought it was going to be in, and then we shipped into early access, and it wasn't there anymore. And
That's
think
actually
I had been
funny.
telling people, oh yeah, it's still there. And so, oops, my bad. We did take it out.
Yeah. So I mean, so the good news is it is coming back in.
That's all I needed to hear. But the speak on what Rax was just talking about, when I first started playing the game, I did have those instances, especially using Frazier, because I use Frazier a lot, heavyweight. I did have those instances when I would throw a directional hook on accident rather than just like a stationary hook or whatever may happen. But as I got more comfortable with the controls, I don't throw anything I don't mean to throw as far as the hooks goes. As far as back, forward, left, right, goes to the hooks now. So I feel like they can keep it mapped as that forward only hook, and then you just know you can only throw that when you want to come forward. I feel like that's how it is for all the directional buttons, to be honest, though. I don't throw any directional buttons on accident. Right? You just gotta make sure that you set your feet before you press the button. If you press the button while you're moving, you will throw the directional hook. So just make sure you move, set, then throw. I feel like that'll be a concept players can pick up on. It won't be too difficult for someone to not or to accidentally throw a punch instead. They'll be able to throw the proper punch. But hey, we're getting some good stuff. Talk to me.
But the reason why it was taken out was, again, it was another one of these situations where I just feel like
Played it safe.
Obviously we're aiming for a really high quality bar, and the leaping left Joe Frazier hook, like 8 times out of 10 it looked good, and
okay, so it had
we're trying to
sometimes
get
we're
to a
good.
place where 10 out of 10 it looks good, or 10 out of 10 it works.
Okay.
And the issue
we're getting some good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of got me a little hyped. I ain't gonna lie.
Like a leaping left hook from Frazier, we were struggling to make it land or look actually effective every single time, where because of our physics system, sometimes it looked pretty funky. So having said that, we do have a working, solid looking Joe Frazier left hook that we will be bringing back in, because look, he's one of my favorite heavyweights, and putting that in to begin with, I like.
Yeah, I can't wait to check the Discord after I watch this whole thing.
That we got in the game from that leaping left hook looked pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it's just one of those.
I can't wait to check the Discord after I watch this whole thing.
Great, and
it's lit for Frazier, baby.
Anything out if that's the case. So
Frazier, Bo, Holmes. That's me in heavyweight. Frazier, Bo, Holmes. Need it.
Yeah, we'll be putting that back in.